Michael Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Oscar Piastri. These are the drivers that share unique traits that set them apart from the rest. But what are they, and how will they help Piastri become a world champion? That's what you'll know by the end of this video. The McLaren driver joined the grid in 2023 and immediately sent ripples through the grid. His daring driving skills and fierce determination equal that of many veteran drivers, and his outstanding debut season has got fans wondering if he can take the #1 spot on the team from Lando Norris. Let's take a look at what makes Oscar such a unique driver, starting with his journey to Formula 1. It had always been Piastri's dream to join the prestigious motorsport Formula 1, and it all started with his love for race cars. Piastri loved playing with toy race cars so much that he took part in several remote-control car racing competitions. And when he grew older, he began his karting career in his home country, Australia. A few years later, he was ready to join the prominent leagues in Europe. Piastri quickly made waves in the world of junior motorsports by winning several races and championship titles. His most significant wins were the lower-tier Formula Championships he won in 2019, 2020, and 2021. In 2019, he participated in the Formula Renault Euro Cup. Despite the very tight competition, he was able to cop 7 wins that earned him the championship title. This was the championship win that really convinced people of Oscar's skills, and with it, he became unstoppable. The next year, Piastri made his Formula 3 debut. From the very first race, Piastri made it clear that he was aiming for the championship title by winning the season opener. But along the line, things got a bit tricky as drivers such as Théo Pourchaire, Liam Lawson, and Logan Sargent gave him some very tough competition. In the end, Piastri came out victorious with 2 wins and 5 podium finishes. In 2021, Piastri made his way to Formula 2. After a great performance in the previous year, nobody expected less in his F2 debut, and he didn't disappoint. The young driver won his debut race just like the previous year, and continued with his strong pace till the final weekend, where he was crowned the champion by a 60.5-point margin. With 3 consecutive championship wins, he was ready to join the big leagues. Unfortunately, there was no vacancy for Piastri in F1 during the 2022 season, so he spent his year acting as a reserve driver for the Alpine F1 team. When the 2022 season ended, several seats opened up in F1, including at Alpine, where he had acted as a reserve driver. The expectation was that Piastri would replace Fernando Alonso as the Spaniard took a leap to Aston Martin. However, Oscar and McLaren had a different idea. Now, in case you don't remember, the Piastri contract saga gave birth to one of the greatest memes in recent F1 history. To keep it short, Alpine's lawyers shit the bed, and to the delight of McLaren fans like myself, they took a huge gamble on the young talent, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Everyone knows that having an incredible junior motorsports career doesn't necessarily promise an astonishing career in F1. But so far, Oscar Piastri has shown great promise. His debut season started quite slow, with the McLaren car being a shitbox. With only 2 weak finishes in the first 9 races of the season, the audience never really saw much of his skills. Despite this, his performances were enough to show the McLaren boss that they had a star in their midst. The McLaren boss said, "Oscar has been impressive since we've had him in the car. He's very mature, he's focused, and he's very technical. He's not been to all these circuits, but early indications are we've got a future world champion on our hands." That's one heavy prediction, but judging from his performances as the MCL60 developed into a race-winning car, Zak Brown might be right. But what exactly is it that Zak Brown and the McLaren team sees in him? Well, one thing the McLaren driver has going for him is his emotional maturity. Being a 21-year-old on a track filled with older, more experienced drivers, no one would be surprised if the Aussie throws a few tantrums when things don't go his way. But the McLaren driver has shown utmost maturity just as the McLaren boss mentioned, and a good example of where he portrayed this maturity is his debut race. In Bahrain, Piastri was having an impressive race despite the slow pace of his McLaren, as he was able to go up 3 positions. But that changed on lap 15. The team had called the Australian into the pits to change his steering wheel. It was supposed to be a quick fix that would aid his performance, but after the wheel was changed, the car refused to move. The engineers at McLaren prodded and rewired, but unfortunately, that would be the end of his debut. Never in Piastri's dreams would he have imagined a faulty gearbox would be the reason he wouldn't finish his debut race. At that moment, if he had yelled at his teammate in frustration, they'd gladly take the hit. But the young driver remained calm and accepted his unlucky fate. That level of maturity showed that he was going to go places. Another thing is his mental resilience. Looking at Piastri's performance at the British Grand Prix, one can see how skilled he is. The McLaren vehicle got new updates at the Australian Grand Prix, and finally, Oscar could show his true potential. During the sprint race, he managed to stay ahead of veteran drivers like Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, and Charles Leclerc to finish P3 right behind his teammate and Verstappen. Staying ahead of those drivers as a rookie is a feat in itself, further showcasing his calm nature. In the Grand Prix, he would have maintained P3 if an unfortunate safety car hadn't allowed Hamilton to overtake him. Most rookie drivers might have lost their nerve by losing a podium position to something they couldn't affect, but Oscar remained composed and finished in 4th place. Now, before we showcase Oscar's brilliant racecraft, we just wanted to say that if you're enjoying the video so far, feel free to subscribe and help us bring you more content. What further sets Oscar apart is something a lot of rookie drivers seem to lack: an analytical mindset. Piastri possesses a natural ability to read races, analyze his rivals' strengths and weaknesses, and then capitalize on them. His racecraft is something you can only see in the likes of world champions such as Max Verstappen, Michael Schumacher, and Lewis Hamilton. And for him to showcase that skill in his rookie season is truly remarkable. The highlight of his season came in the Qatar sprint race. The top 3 from qualifying, Piastri, Verstappen, and Norris, started the race on the medium tyre, whilst drivers who hoped to get the jump on them started on soft. Now, most drivers in this situation would crumble in the first turn versus Max Verstappen, but not Piastri. He held on to the first place for the first few laps, showing impeccable pace. Russell on the softs managed to get the lead ahead of Piastri after a few laps, but the McLaren driver knew exactly what he had to do. He just had to stay calm, manage his tyres, and put in lap after lap as Russell's tyres wore off. Eventually, Russell had to pit, giving the lead back to Piastri, who showcased both maturity behind the wheel as well as extraordinary racecraft. By combining all of these traits, Oscar managed to get a race win in his first season, on a track he had never raced on before. All he had done on the track was 2 practice sessions, a sprint shootout in which he got pole position, and then kept his calm throughout the sprint race to finish first in his rookie season. If that doesn't tell you how special he is, I don't know what will. Initially, Piastri signed a deal to be with McLaren for the 2023 and 2024 seasons, but the fact that Oscar Piastri looks like a gem prompted McLaren to give him a new contract to keep him on the team until 2026. Team principal Andrea Stella explained that he has seen traits of Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher in the young driver, and is not something he could afford to pass on. The exact trait he portrayed was his ability to learn on the go. Look at how he turned the narrative around after the car got an upgrade in Silverstone. His performance only got better afterward. Seeing as Stella had worked with both Alonso and Schumacher, we should not take his words for granted. Not only is he being compared to the likes of Schumacher and Alonso, but Piastri shares a resemblance to Lewis Hamilton as well. Both of them had amazing rookie seasons as McLaren drivers, and they now share the top 2 places for most points scored in a rookie season. Although Lewis's record was quite stellar, Piastri might have done even better if the McLaren wasn't a shitbox in the beginning of the season, and that says a lot of the young driver's potential. Piastri finished the 2023 season with 2 podium finishes, 1 sprint race win, and 97 points in total. He also finished in 8th place, just 2 drivers away from his teammate Lando Norris. This proximity in the 2 McLaren drivers' performance has many wondering if Piastri can become the #1 driver at McLaren in 2024. Even Lando himself seems a bit worried. He's performed, he's done everything he's needed to, and probably, I think, exceeded most people's expectations from what he's been able to achieve already this season. He's pushed me a lot, and it's not a nice thing. It's not what I want, but yeah, he's done a really good job, Norris said on Oscar's contract. Although Norris is an exceptional driver, he seemed to struggle a lot versus Piastri in the qualifying sessions, and that might be an indicator of what is to come in the future. Is Piastri World Championship material, or was he just lucky in his debut season? Check out our video comparing his junior career to another prominent F1 character if you're still unconvinced.